There is a new tool now that would allow to further move into co-creation, that is the social networks.
Yes.
Can you share interesting examples of companies using the social networks to improve their co-creation with the customers?
I'd be happy to suggest some examples, but first let's be clear that the social networks are now creating a revolution in modern marketing, and no company can get away with doing a poor quality job anymore. It's so clear to me that in the future we will only have good companies. We won't have the mix of good and bad companies. Now, by a bad company, I mean the kind that can seduce you into buying something, and you buy it and you're disappointed and you wonder. But then in the old days, you couldn't tell many people. You could just tell your wife and family that you bought the wrong car. Today, we could broadcast because many people know 1,000 other people through LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever.
Or Facebook?
So only good companies can survive because every company's in a fishbowl. Now, with respect to the idea of social media, companies that are alert, they don't want to shift their whole promotion budget to social media. That would be a mistake. When you have a great campaign with an advertisement, a TV commercial, it can work wonders. So you keep traditional media, but you shift maybe 10% of the money. One company shifted 50% overnight into the social media, and that was a mistake. Because you got to learn what works first. So you shift 10%, you hire a nerd, you put in your marketing department a geek. Now, I love those words because I'm a geek and I'm a nerd. And these are people who love the new social media. And then you try it out. Now, the social media, here's what I think works a lot. I think what works a lot is Facebook. So you have to have a presence on Facebook. Many companies are on Facebook, and I can tell you how they use them. You ought to be on Twitter.
Yes.
You ought to be on LinkedIn, and you should be using YouTube. Okay. And there's a few more things, of course, but get a presence on these media.
You said Facebook. I'll tell you how to use it. Can you share that?
Well, Coca-Cola may have a page on Facebook, and you're just entering a kind of community of people who love the product, and they tell you things about the product's history. They want you to send in comments and maybe your best episode ever with Coke, some memorable experience. Mm-hmm. It's a way of engaging people to share stories and the interest in that product with other people who also go to the same site.
Do you think that impacts on sales?
It certainly leads to retention of customers, and the real question is it measurable? Okay, now what can they do to measure this? How can they find out how many people went to the Coca-Cola site, had a good experience, and ended up sending out a Twitter message? I was at the Coca-Cola site on Facebook, and did you notice that they're coming out with a new drink, which I think is great. And now we have to figure out how many people they sent that Twitter message to. And then we should find out by checking on some sample of the Twitter receivers of that message, did they pass it on to others, or look at the Facebook site on Coca-Cola? It's not easy to do, but you should have a little faith in that if there's been an entertaining involved experience, that some talk was generated.
We talked about marketing 3.0, the marketing of sustainability, society, caring for something, the marketing of the spirit. Is that so culture related that we cannot have a global marketing strategy if we are talking about 3.0?
You raised a very good question, Eduardo, because countries are at different stages of development. If you're going to sell your product in Scandinavia, you better be a marketing 3.0 company. Mm-hmm. Scandinavians are very educated. They're very concerned about the limits to growth and so on, and they want to see that you're doing something as a company that shows caring. Let's go to an opposite type of country, maybe one deep in Africa that doesn't have much of a middle class and mostly poor. There's one country, I think it's Zambia, that's 89% of the people are poor. They just want to eat something. I don't think being a Marketing 3.0 company matters at all. Yeah. So that's the answer to the question.
Regarding creativity,
yes,
how would you approach Marketing 3.0? How would you embed new creativity in a Marketing 3.0 strategy?
Well, first of all, I want to distinguish between being authentic and inauthentic. There's a lot of companies who might see a PR, public relations kind of nice thing about Marketing 3.0. And when that happens, and when they're inauthentic, it's called greenwashing. They're going green, but when you really examine it deeply, I'm talking about companies that build it in their DNA. Now, how do you creatively commit to that? You know, companies give out often a lot of money because they care, but the company that just gives it out miscellaneously, that's a good cause, this is fine, and so on, it doesn't add up. And I've made a case in my earlier book called Corporate Social Responsibility that they should really get a cause and make a difference in that cause. Avon, the direct marketer, who sells mostly to women, said that what really counts and what worries women, or again, look at the whole person, ask what their life concerns are, is breast cancer. And they have raised over $100 million over the years to help researchers find solutions to this problem. So the money isn't spattered around. Motorola likes to give money to engineering schools. Clearly they want better engineers, and that makes sense. So we examined 40 companies that really have a cause. And why shouldn't a company do that? A company is such a strong engine machine, economic engine machine. They should, of course, focus on their core products and services, but they are also so much better than government and even some NGOs to make a difference.
Yes.
And we admire those companies. IBM does a lot of that. GE does a lot. They care.